Mike, let's talk Penn State football.
Let's do it.
They beat UMass last week. I watched it on my little smartphone at my brother's wedding. Happy wedding to you.
State-of-the-art technology.
Looking back a little
And
bit.
also priorities.
Yes, well, it was. What were your biggest takeaways from the UMass game?
They were determined to run the ball. They were determined to get the offensive line some confidence. They did that. On a day when they scored 48 points, on a day when Christian Hackenberg was not very good. I mean, I almost wonder if he's hurt. Like has a hand or finger injury or something like that, which quarterbacks get from like banging their hand on a helmet or something. But anyway, they accomplished that goal, and I do think that they blocked UMass. Some people were saying that, well, they ran all these wide runs and they just have more speed than UMass, so they just ran around the corner. No, if you watch that game, they really did block effectively. I'm not saying it isn't easier to block UMass than it will be anybody else they play. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they did block them.
You start following Herb Hand, the offensive line coach. On Twitter, he will do descriptions, breaking down, and shows all these blocks.
Yeah, any Penn State fan or anybody who wants to learn a little something about offensive line play, which we talk about all the time, but which a lot of people don't really understand, including me. It's interesting to follow Herb Hand on Twitter, and you get some video that really will help you learn a little bit.
Let's look ahead now with UMass. Now let's go ahead. Northwestern this Saturday. What makes Northwestern, the Wildcats, unique, special?
Well, they're the only private school in the Big Ten. They're a very academically prestigious school. They're by far the smallest school in the Big Ten. There's a lot of little things about their football program. For example, their fall semester doesn't start until late September. So just on Tuesday was their first day of classes this September. They've already played 3 football games. They practice in the morning. That's another thing. They practice in their meetings and lift and conditioning and practices all in the morning during the week. So they have all afternoon classes. But anyway, they really struggled early this year. They were 0-2. They had a bye week. They sort of recommitted to toughness, and there was a quote from Pat Fitzgerald about I'm going to stick my size 12s where the sun don't shine for the rest of the year with this team. So we talked to Adam DePietro, a kid from Lancaster Catholic High School who is an offensive lineman for Northwestern yesterday for a story, and they sort of feel like, okay, now we can hit the reset button on this season. This will be their first league game Saturday at Beaver Stadium, and sort of here we go.
DePietro, that story is in Thursday's paper. You can catch it on Lancaster Online.
Yep.
Is Penn State catching the Wildcats at a good time or a bad time? Is this a wounded animal right now?
I think it is a little bit of a wounded animal. I mean, they did win last week after the bye, but it was against Western. It was against Western Illinois, which is an FCS team. I mean, that's not a serious opponent for a Big Ten team, but maybe got it again. It's sort of like UMass. Well, maybe they got a little confidence, and we'll be able to make a stand a little bit on Saturday.
They lost to California at the beginning of the year, which was
2-10 last year. Yeah.
And they lost to Northern Illinois.
Which is a very good program. But if you remember, they had a kid named Jordan Lynch at quarterback who actually was a finalist for the Heisman, was a record-setting player. He's gone, so Northern Illinois isn't quite what they were.
Okay, keys to this game. What's it going to take for a Penn State win?
I think it'll be harder to run the ball this week. I think Northwestern has a pretty good front seven, and it will be very important for them to Northwestern has a very inexperienced quarterback. Important for Penn State to do its thing in terms of stunting and blitzing and confusing him and pressuring him. I think that'll be key. The difference is Penn State has this big play passing game with Hackenberg and those wide receivers. I think that will be enough to get them over the top.
One last thing, podcast. You have a podcast you're working on today, Thursday, which will be up later today.
Yeah.
Who are you interviewing?
It's Lou Prado, who Penn State fans will recognize as kind of an unofficial historian of Penn State. He's written, I think, 5 books, written or co-written 5 books, including the Penn State Encyclopedia. He wrote a thing about the 2012 team post-sanctions. He's a good guy. I think it'll be fun to talk to Lou.
Check that out on Lancaster Online as well.